Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I'm Stu Whiffin. Joining me overseas today, Blake Harrison. I nearly forgot your name.
It's been so long since we've done the record, and it feels fewer and fewer that we're doing in person now, that we're just forgetting each other's names.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You all right?
I'm all right. I'm very tired. Was up at about 4:15 for work. I've literally just got back from work, had a big poo, and now talking to you. So there you go. That's been my day.
Oh, no.
That's it. Yeah. I was thinking of you whilst I was on the toilet because, you know, I was thinking I was going to be late for this. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it wasn't a clean break. There was a lot of, there's, you can tell I'm tired because I would never openly admit this stuff. It's all true. So, starting the podcast with a high bar.
Oh, mate. Well, I'll tell you what, right? If you talk about brown water,
I mean, I don't, but I did. So carry on.
I mean, I can talk about brown water, mate.
Oh, yeah.
So I've not seen. I mean, today we're going to be talking about Burns Sean Brady, that card, and obviously we're going to be looking ahead to 306. But confession, I've not actually seen last weekend's card.
What?
And the reason being, well, you can get to tell me all about it, and I'll throw my
Sure.
2 pence in. But I went to Preston to watch. I'm a big fan of the Pet Shop Boys, and they were playing a Radio 2 Weekend in the Park. Normally it's Hyde Park, where I've done before, which is nice and easy.
Yeah.
Preston's a fucking long way, mate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's north, isn't it? That is well north, mate.
It's proper north.
Proper north, son.
My missus had chips and gravy from a van. That's how northern it is.
See, I'm all over that. Chips and curry sauce is better, but chips and gravy, I'd enjoy a bit of that.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. Drove up and stayed in Blackburn, and then got the bus over to Preston for the show. Great day. Like the lineup was Shed 7 and Manic Street Preachers.
Manic Street Preachers, I remember.
They were fantastic. Like Paul Heaton, who I don't know if you're aware who he is. He was the singer in House Spy. He's the singer in Beautiful South. I'm a big fan of him. So Sister Sledge, so there was like loads of really cool bands.
You know that the demographic of MMA is like under 30, so they're going to have like, who are these people that you're talking about?
just stick about, because old Grandad Whiffin story is going to get a bit more interesting. So, anyone says it's grim up north, if we're talking about the weather, they're bang on. Oh, my life. I ain't joking, mate. We got there at 10:30. And as we're walking to there's 65,000 people at this event, right? So as we walk into the park, I see these 2 lads that had nicked like a shopping trolley and filled it full of like cheap bucket hats and what I presumed were ponchos. So I was like, lads, I said, you about to start flogging them? They were like, yeah. I said, I'll have a couple of them ponchos off you. So I bought ponchos.
Del Boy whipping is straight in. You flogging that? Yes. And I bought a dozen. Now, mate.
So I bought a couple of them. And now my missus was smart. She put wellies on, right? And I was like, look, it's not rained yet. It's all right. Like, if we get a bit of rain, it'd be fine. It might be a little bit muddy. No worries. The 2 ponchos was the wisest investment I ever like invested in, because the minute I bought them and put them on, the heavens opened at 10:30 in the morning. I left that venue at 10:30 in the evening, and it didn't stop raining once. Right? Let me tell you how quickly a nice field with 65,000 people in it in the rain can turn into. Well, I think it was about 2:30 in the afternoon that I realised that the watery mud was halfway up my shin. So my feet were just completely underwater. And it was just relentless for the whole day. I was just wading in water. And I thought, well, I'm just going to get pissed and try and get through it. But I just couldn't get pissed. I think it was such an ordeal just trying to get through it. That
it was so rainy that the rainwater coming down was diluting the alcohol so much in your glass.
I literally said to my wife at one point, I went, I keep thinking, why is this beer not disappearing? It's because it's filling up with rain, as I was thinking.
I'll be through.
Yeah. But yeah, without going into it anymore, just like, obviously, the more you drink, the more you want to have a wee. And it's festival toilets, but they have them things, they're the ones that are really weird, which I know for a fact you're the sort of person that wouldn't entertain them. Like, no, them ones where there's just like 4 troughs, like these plastic troughs, and you all stand with your face about 2 foot away from the bloke opposite you and the bloke to either side of you, all with your dinkles in your hand, like weeing outside. They'd flooded, and the water was flooded on the floor. And now as I'm standing there weeing, just thinking, shall I just wee on the floor? Because essentially I'm standing in thousands of people's piss probably right now.
Yeah,
so there you go, mate. So while you was sitting there all snug as a bug watching Nathan get his first UFC win, what was I doing? Standing in a load of strangers' piss, freezing me tits off, watching the Pet Shop Boys. That's what I got up to, mate.
Love it. Worth it? Pet Shop Boys worth it?
Cracking, mate. Absolutely cracking.
There you go.
I mean,
and a resounding chorus of everyone under 35 going, the Pet Shop who?
Oh, dear, oh, dear. Well, you've watched the card, right? So bring me up to speed, because I didn't get back until late last night, and we're recording this on Tuesday morning.
Yes, we will move on to the MMA portion of this episode, which is what people came here for. So first things first, last week, UFC Vegas, something or other. Nathan Fletcher, as you said, got his first ever win in the UFC. It was a tough round 1 for him, I think. It was a mixture. He was desperately trying to go for those takedowns. I think he got cut at one point. There was a reverse triangle that would look really tight. He weathered a bit of a storm in round 1.
Oh, and sorry. Then, so the triangle was on Nathan?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, the reverse triangle was on Nathan. And then round 2, he just come straight out, put it on him, got a takedown, and then got the arm triangle, got the win. So yeah, as I say, he came through a bit of adversity in round 1. And at points it looked dodgy for him. So credit to him, and brilliant that he was, able to stay the course, stick to the plan, not let it put him off. And yeah, come out with the win, a hard-fought victory for Nathan Fletcher in his first ever UFC appearance, which is fantastic for him and fantastic for
Next Gen.
Oh, Next Gen. There you go. Tired Blake is going to forget a few things.
I ain't seen the card. This is going to be a shit show.
This is going to be great. Everyone's fast forwarding this bit to get onto old Noche UFC. Ashby was beat by a decision. It was fine. Not great deal to chat about there. However, the flyweight match between Cody Durden and Matt Schnell was an absolute barn burner, as the Americans would say. It was, round 1 was just those two just going at it, smashing each other up, taking shots. It was really great, just boxing exchanges happening all the time. And then round 2, Schnell decided, enough of this, I'm going for a takedown. And Cody Durden said, thank you very much, slapped on a ninja choke, and within seconds of round 2 beginning, had made Matt Schnell tap out quite frantically, both hands on his back, just tapping away. So it must have been a tight choke. And Cody Durden did all that on 4 days' notice. I can't remember who Schnell was meant to be fighting, but Cody Durden came in on 4 days' notice to do that, which was very, very good.
Did Schnell retire?
I believe he did. He didn't make a fuss of it. He didn't stick around to talk to anyone, but people were saying that he did lay his hands. I can't remember if he lay his gloves in the middle of the octagon or over the side of the octagon. And it looks like Matt Schnell has retired There are other retirements that we could talk about, but we might save that for another show. But shout out, obviously, Demetrius Johnson and Liam Harrison, who retired over the weekends as well. But they might need more time than we can give them on this show to talk about it.
Can't glaze over the Demetrius Johnson. Go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my God, we want to talk Warriors. We got a lot of time to talk about Liam Harrison being such a Warrior.
Absolutely.
And that's a show in itself, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now's not the time, but we'll obviously tip of the hat and fond farewell to Liam Harrison and Demetrius Johnson and also Matt Schnell. But we will definitely have to talk about Liam, former guest of the show, and Demetrius Johnson. What an absolute, as I say, go up there on the Mount Rushmore. Despite, did you see Dana put his Mount Rushmore up? Which I understand a lot of it was like John Jones, GSP, Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey. The reasons for them, I understand what they've done for sport, and as a promoter, they're going to be your top 4, I guess. But in terms of just pure martial arts, Demetrius Johnson, 11 title win streak, was it? Is it 11 title defenses, I should say. The most in UFC history, 11 title defenses, I believe. And his fight with Henry Cejudo, in which he lost the belt, was incredibly close. And some people would argue that Demetrius won that. And he wasn't able to get back at Henry Cejudo and complete a trilogy because he was traded for Ben Askren at 1. So everything Demetrius Johnson has done has been incredibly classy, fantastic. And he's also just seems like a lovely guy outside the cage as well. But as we said, for another time, let's get on to the co-main. No, not the co-main. The featured bout was Kyle Nelson, who you mentioned in the pre-fight show, coming in 2 pounds overweight, so not very good. And then fought Steve Garcia, who I'm not going to lie, has kind of gone under the radar to me, Steve Garcia. And he's now on a 5-fight finish streak, let alone win streak.
Carl Nelson.
Well, it was a bit of a weird one because Carl Nelson had some back control for the first half of the round, was doing all right. Then Steve Garcia just reversed the position. And during some kind of scrambles in ground and pound, he hit Carl Nelson with a really nasty elbow to the back of the head. Unintentional. They were scrambling around, all those things. But Carl Nelson protested it. And you could sort of understand why, because when he got up, the lump on the back of his head was huge. Absolutely huge. It's a very difficult one because Steve Garcia didn't intend it. Carl Nelson was moving around. The ref didn't do much about it. But Carl Nelson, I understand, got a really, really nasty blow to the back of the head. That lump looked severe and it clearly impacted the fight. But Steve Garcia, man, what a finisher. Just like 5-fight finish streak now, and was just mauled him. As soon as he got on top, it was like, there's ground and pound, and then there's just, I'm beating the shit out of you. And that's what Garcia did to get that win. So we'll see what he does next in the featherweight division. And then now let's move on to the co-main, because I was really excited about this. Natalia Silva looked like an absolute world beater on Saturday night. I know Andrade is not the Andrade that we kind of fell in love with years ago, but she's still very, very dangerous. She's still a very good fighter. Not only did Natalia Silva get on her bike, which I expected her to do, and just outstrike Andrade in such a really exciting way. I mean, at one point she went from like calf kick to axe kick on the same leg. It was just like she had just the variety of kicks. It was artistry. You know, it's called mixed martial arts, and there's some athletes that, you know, people will see, like Steve Garcia, people will see and just go, oh, he's just a brute, you know, because that's his fight style. Obviously, we as big fans know there's more to it than that. But the casual observer will go, that's just brutish. But the artistry of a striker like Natalia Silva, you're just like, this is what it's about, man. This puts the arts in mixed martial arts. And she really is a delight to watch. Some of the side kicks, the front leg side kicks, I mean, just the angles and the proximity at which Andrade was to her. And she was still getting those kicks up. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful to watch. And she was doing it whilst all the time being hunted by a woman that could put her lights out at any moment. And she was evading her. And she even took a couple of shots, I mean, the chin on Natalia Silva as well, to take some of Andrade's strikes Yeah, man, it was beautiful to watch. And you're just thinking, this woman we've got a bit of a logjam at the top of the division. But I would be surprised if she doesn't fight for a belt at some point. It's obviously, we'll talk about Shevchenko and Grasso 3 coming up at Noche UFC at the weekend. Manon Fiorot is waiting in the wings. She's done enough to earn a title shot.
Definitely.
I think you've got to give Natalia Silva the winner of Erin Blanchfield and Rose Namajunas, because that fight is two fantastic fighters in their own rights. And obviously, Erin Blanchfield only had, I think, one loss, or at least one loss in UFC, if memory serves. Rose Namajunas, legend. We all know what she's about. If you put Natalia in with the winner of that fight, I think that's a number one contender fight. No questions asked. And then after Manon's had her shot, the winner of that fight gets the shot. I don't know who I'd like to win out of Erin Blanchfield and Rose, because I love Rose, but I do really like Erin Blanchfield. And selfishly, if Erin Blanchfield wins and we get Blanchfield versus Natalia Silva, that then leaves the door open for the fight that I have been calling for years. Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade 3. Let's finish the trilogy. Throw a BMF belt on in there if you want to. A women's BMF. Name two people that could that deserve a women's BMF more than Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas. I don't think there's many on the list. So yeah, you could do all of those things is what I'd be interested in. Any thoughts on Andrade or Silva or anything like that? I know obviously you didn't get to watch the fight.
I don't think Andrade you're talking about a BMF at the moment. I agree. I love watching her fight. I love watching her box. I think her hands are fantastic. But I worry now that, she's going to be edging down that division. And I think, is she going to become a bit of a sort of gatekeeper fighter now for that? Maybe not the top 10, but maybe the sort of, the 6 or 7s and that, get past Andrade and, you're the real deal.
I think you might be right, but I think that kind of personality, especially when you've got someone with the kind of like that kind of badass fighting style that Jessica Andrade has, that lends itself to a potential BMF thing. And I think
I'm not disagreeing with it.
I'm not saying it would headline a pay-per-view, but if you've got one or two big title fights like a John Jones or something like that, and then you throw as the featured fight if you're doing 3 title fights, or co-main if it was a really big main event on the card, and you throw in Jessica Andrade versus Rose Namajunas 3 for the inaugural women's BMF title. Yeah. I'm all in. I love it. I'd love to see it. Burns Brady was an interesting fight. It was quite one-sided, and Brady was clearly much stronger in the clinch and in the grappling exchanges against the fence. We didn't see like a huge amount of the kind of grappling I wanted to see. I wanted to see scrambles and things like that, but it seemed more up against the fence. And Brady did get him down on a couple of occasions, but was relatively safe.
To this, did we think that maybe this might become a striking match because the wrestling, they cancel each other out?
That's sort of what we got. There was more wrestling and grappling than I actually anticipated. I thought it'd be more striking.
Yeah.
But Brady was just all over him. I mean, you could give round 3 to Burns. I did, because he wobbled him maybe a little bit. But every other round was Brady, and he won a lot of it on the feet. He was just faster. He put out more volume, and that's what won him fight. What I was really impressed with Brady is the worries I've had about him as a potential title challenger going forward were things like cardio. When you look at like the Michael Chiesa fight where round 3 he didn't do so well, and then you look at his chin, and we look at the fact that Bilal knocked him out in was it round 2 or so? I can't remember when that was, but he got knocked out by Bilal, which never sounds good because Bilal's not one of the strikers that knocks people out, but he seemed to take the shots that came his way. He didn't seem to slow down. I mean, he absolutely collapsed at the end of the 5th round on his back. I don't know whether that was just relief that he'd won the fight and clearly won the fight, or if it was exhaustion, but he collapsed after the 5th round. But by that point, the fight's over, so it doesn't matter. He was great throughout. He didn't seem to slow down too much. Fixed those holes in his game, which I think was really great. And obviously has improved his striking as well, which is also great. And I think that's what you want in your prospects like Sean Brady, who, was undefeated, then got beat, came back and beat Gastelum. And he's trying to rebuild and regather that momentum that he had when he was undefeated. And that's what you want from a fighter like that. Show us the evolution of your game. And he showed that, which was really brilliant. He called out Ian Gary. What do you think of that?
No. I was just looking through the rankings now.
I saw you on your phone and I was like, is he being boring, or is he thinking I'm boring, or is he actually doing some work here? But yeah, so I gave you the benefit of the doubt. So you're looking at the rankings.
Yeah, so I was just looking at the rankings. And that's interesting because looking at the rankings as they stand today, Sean Brady's above Ian Gary.
Yes.
Sean Brady's jumped to 6 and Ian Gary's currently at 7. So I'm surprised at that call out because maybe he sees that he's a star, Ian Gary, and he thinks his wrestling would be too good for him. Whereas
Ian Gary's a big name. People care. Whether you like him or hate him, people care about Ian Gary.
And if you look above that, Colby Covington, great wrestling.
Also, he's not going to take a fight against Sean Brady.
That's not going to happen. Jack Della Maddalena, I don't think he's
injured. I think
he's still injured, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that is a potential fight there. Shavkat,
it could happen.
Shavkat's not going to be looking that far down the ladder.
He's fighting for the belt next. He was apparently offered a fight, and Bilal said, "I'm not ready yet." So it looks like Shavkat Bilal for the belt next.
It's got to be. I don't know. I mean,
Usman's possible,
but then maybe Sean Brady just thinks Kamaru Usman's wrestling's solid. Like, I mean, he's a super big name, but yeah,
I think he should have called out Leon. I mean,
that's looking at that. That's where I was getting to. That Leon is obviously ranked where he is. He's got to fight someone, and as far as Leon's takedown defense is decent. We've seen that against Usman. I don't know if Leon's interested in fighting Sean Brady, but what other options has Leon got there?
Leon, yeah.
I think give Leon Ian Gary. That's the fight I want. I think it will be a really interesting stand-up, and I think it'll be quite a well-balanced fight if it goes to the ground as well. I think it's a good matchup, that.
I was completely in your camp until I saw a couple of things on social media recently.
What have I missed?
Jorge wants back in and he wants Leon.
No. I was talking about
it.
No.
Yes, why? What's the problem?
No, you're on board.
3-piece. Yeah, of course I'm on board. The 3-piece of the soda thing must be resolved. We must get to the bottom of the 3-piece of the soda. As a biased Leon fan, I think it's an easy win for Leon, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yes.
So that works really well. Big business having Masvidal back. The UFC will want to have a star attraction like Masvidal back. Go for it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Right.
Every party wins.
Right. So
the fans win. Leon wins. Masvidal wins. UFC wins. It's a no-brainer.
All right. I'm not that bothered. Like, I'm going to throw out there, right? Masvidal, I'm not that excited to see him. I mean, there's this.
You don't like fun. Right, you hate fun. That's your problem.
No. I was talking about my
Scrooge McGuiffin
last weekend, and I was
Scrooge McGuiffin hates fun.
Look, I do think, as far as winnable fights go for Leon, that's a good comeback fight. But there's also rumours that Jorge wants Nate after their last outing back in the UFC. Maybe, not that I don't think anyone's that bothered about that, but that's two big names that the UFC could market a fight with. I don't know. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, and it will be a fun fight, and it'll be, I think, an easy fight for Leon. But what is it, apart from probably making him a lot of money, I think whilst he's fighting that fight, there's other things going to be happening in that division that are going to have more title implications. And Leon's just lost that belt. For me, I think Leon should be looking at the fastest route to getting another shot at that belt.
Well,
And
maybe the fastest route for Leon is
that.
No, I think you're right with that. And I think especially if you're banking on Shavkat beating Bilal, then if Leon goes out there and beats Ian Gary in a few months' time, then you would say Leon could get a title shot off the back of that.
Yeah.
But if Bilal stays champion, I don't think Leon's getting a title shot for a while because that division has got lots going on.
I think Ian Gary beats Leon.
Whoa, really? I can't say that. I think they're both really good. I don't know. I don't know about that. I do think that Gary is more dynamic, and Gary is he might have the speed advantage. I do wonder who would be the better grappler, because I think Leon's grappling is really underrated. But obviously Gary's been training with the Damian Myers and Gilbert Burns of the world, and down in Brazil. I'd be really interested to see who is the better grappler. But in terms of striking, I think Leon is very technical, very slick, but will he have the output? I'd worry that Gary would just overwhelm him with volume and win rounds that way.
I think Gary will get into his stride. I think he'll get into his stride, and I think he'll get confident. And I think that's where he could get clipped, because Leon is that tactician. But I don't know. I don't want to start hating on Leon because he lost to Bilal. But apart from that Usman head kick KO, I don't think we've seen exciting, like, fan pleasing striking from Leon Edwards since then. I
think he's had moments. He just hasn't had knockouts. He's had moments, I think, where I think even in the third Usman fight, I remember him having moments where he looked very good.
Yeah. He also had moments where he didn't as well. Like, don't get me wrong, it's Usman versus Edwards. It's going to be elite level, and it was what it was. But I don't. Yeah, I'm not hating on Leon. Obviously, we love Leon on this show, but I think at the moment, from what I've seen of both fighters over the last maybe couple of years, I'm leaning towards Ian Gary.
Interesting. I don't know which way I'd go if that fight was made. I might be on the fence for a bit.
Yeah.
But Gilbert Burns, 3 losses in a row. Not looking good for him. He looks like he has made. I don't think a title shot is in his future anymore. And it looks like he might become a little bit of a gatekeeper himself. Like Neil Magny is obviously a gatekeeper to that top 15, top 12. Would Gilbert Burns now be the gatekeeper to the top 7 or something
Possibly.
like that? I'm not sure. And where does he go from here in terms of his next fight? Do they give him someone that's a favorable matchup to give him a win under his belt? Or do they feed him potentially to another young up? That is exactly what I was going to say. I wonder, it would be really harsh on Gilbert Burns.
Yeah.
But if I'm the UFC, I'm thinking Burns is 38. He's only got so long left, but he's a big name. We can start building stars off of him. And Michael Morales is the one that I would throw to him and just go, sorry, mate, let's see how you handle this one.
I don't think he needs that. For me, maybe give him King Buckley or Michael Venom.
Buckley's booked against Wonder Boy, but that might make sense. If he beats Wonder Boy, that does make sense. Buckley versus Burns. Good
MVP could be an interesting one.
That would be very interesting, yeah. I think I favour MVP, but yeah, that'd be very interesting.
Okay. So where are we at then? We
Noche. Noche UFC.
Right. Can I start off by moaning about this?
Do you want to start off by moaning about it?
Yeah, we'll have a moan.
Oh, well, why change the habit of a lifetime? Go on, within have a moan.
I think the card's quite underwhelming.
Go on. Is that it? Is that the ran over?
The casuals the casuals will be tuning in for sugar, but I think everyone's going to be at the bar for pretty much the rest of this card. And I think it's only fans of the sport that are going to be more excited. But even as I look in the prelims, not doing a lot for me.
I think there's a couple of factors here that we have to consider. One, Dana White is really going hard on the whole Mexico theme for it. It's not just Noche UFC. It's happening at the Sphere. There's going to be some kind of movie that's a love letter to Mexico happening in after every fight. There's another couple of minutes of this movie happening. That's a love letter to Mexico.
Who gives a shit?
Mexicans, probably.
No, because Mexicans ain't buying tickets because it ain't sold out. Apparently, they can't get rid of all the tickets.
Well, that's because it was...
Look, I'm going to tell you something, right, Blake. Okay, right. I've seen you two a few times, right? So when I saw you two for the first time, they come on stage, right? Just on stage, Bono, white vest, guitar, sang the songs, took the fucking roof off. And then as you two's career sort of grew, all of a sudden, there's all of these crazy shit like going on behind them on screens, phoning up, like you had a lemon pod that come down from the top of the stage to Bono, and he had a phone to God on it or something like that. And you just think, look, years ago, the songs were good enough, and that's all that matters. And this is what's happening with this card. It's like, stop worrying about, because essentially, if there's a film going on the screen of the Sphere, which is incredible, that venue, right? Who gives a shit? You're going for a wee, or you're going to get a beer, or you're going to go and get yourself a snack. You're not worried about that. All you're worried about is who's fighting and how good them fights are. That's why you're tuning in, right?
Hey, Scrooge McGuiffin doesn't like fun. This is what we've established.
Yeah. Okay.
So, also, have you led on your keyboard? Because I've just got a big 5 come up on my video. I don't know if it's on yours.
It looks like you're done talking, so we'll lower your hand in 2 seconds. Oh, and what was weird was we switched places as well on my side.
I wonder if the AI just went, shut up with him. Shut up. You're done talking. Stop moaning. Enjoy the fun. No, but I was going to ask you questions about that, because if you're in the arena, I reckon seeing that whole Sphere, I think it might be quite amazing. I really do think it might be quite an experience. Obviously, they've overpriced it and they've cut tickets in half, apparently.
Really?
The price of it has gone down. I think they were like $3,000 for a ticket or whatever it was in relatively modest kind of positions. And that's halved over the last, week or two. So if you've got a cool 1,500 quid lying around, just come to the Sphere.
And why would you?
Well, I was going to ask you this. Given most of us are going to be watching it at home, how much is the Sphere going to impact your enjoyment of it at home? Are you still going to be fast forwarding everything if you watch it the next morning, or are you going to try and get the experience of the Sphere?
I'll probably watch the first bit.
Yeah.
But you're literally just watching a film on a roof and you're not in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like watching, I don't know, it's like sitting in your car, putting a seatbelt on and then watching Nemesis at fucking full parking while you just sit in your car in a seatbelt. It's like, you're not going to get that experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't really, all I'm interested in is the walkouts, the fights, and the post-fight chats, and that's why I'm a fan of it. It's like, I'm not that interested, but if I ever watch football, I'm not interested in watching people singing the national anthem and coming out on the pitch early and having a kick. But I'm not interested in any of that. I just want to watch the game. And and I think if you're in that sphere, for whatever event you're probably in that sphere for, you're going to have an amazing experience, because that's what the whole thing is designed for. And I think the UFC obviously want to be dick swinging in that arena and go, we've put something on the sphere, great. But I think for such a statement of doing something of that size, the card should be better.
Well, it's cost them apparently 20 million plus to, put this event on. I think obviously it is very Mexican heavy, and I think they're hoping that will really galvanize the crowd. But as you say, they might have outpriced the crowd. The classic kind of traditional Mexican MMA or combat sports fan might not be able to afford a ticket, and it'll all be corporate boxes and corporate, business people on their little jollies going to watch these fights that maybe have not even seen MMA before. So it'll be really interesting to see.
Are not going to be able to afford that ticket. No chance.
It's going to be interesting for sure. I mean, and I think they've done something on the card to try and fill it early, because it would look awful with Dana talking about how this is going to be the greatest combat sports event going, $20 million plus to put it all together. If that sphere is only like a quarter full when it first kicks off, that's going to look bad. And that's why I think they've put Raul Rosas Jr. in the fight pass prelims, because they're trying to get the audience in early, because there's a lot of fun fights on this card, I think. But there's not many names outside of the top 3 fights. So that's why I think they've thrown Raul Rosas Jr. is a main card fighter because of the way that they have publicized and treated him, not because of what he's achieved in the octagon or because he's been around long enough, but because the way the UFC have treated him previously. But they have stuck him on the fight pass prelims for this one, or at least it is at the moment when I'm looking at the fight order. And I think that is because they're trying to get all the Mexican fans that are going in early to watch their boy win a fight that he should win, so that it can look great on TV from the off. Because if it's a quarter full until the last kind of 4-3 fights, something like that, that's going to be a bad look for the UFC, I think, given how they've been talking this fight card up. But let's start at the top then. For everyone watching at home, enough about the sphere, enough about Mexico versus the world and all that kind of aspects of this card. Let's just get straight into the main event, because I think this is the only fight where there isn't a Mexican, or at least someone of Mexican heritage in a fight. Unless you count Merab, because he's been trying to portray himself as a bit of a Mexican lately. The Mexican Georgian. How's it gonna go, mate? Who do you? I've got a few questions for you on this. First is just, how excited are you about the fight?
I'm really excited about this fight. No, it's one of them ones for, like, the last sort of 3 or 4 months when I've been looking ahead to cards. It's like, yeah, that's all right. And then it's like, oh yeah, then it's Sugar Merab. And it's like, I'm hyped for it, because no one deserves a shot more than Merab. He's really shown that he's a worthy contender for the belt. All the videos and all the stealing of the red leather jacket. He's I know everybody thinks, Sugar Sean's a character. Sugar Sean looks like a character, but in regards to personality, I'm all over Merab all day. I think he's hilarious. Yeah. And
I agree.
I think he's way more fun and interesting. He just hasn't got shit hair. But yeah, so I'm what I've learned through going back to referring to Sugar as a melt in the early days of the show is you just can't underestimate that fella. And he's getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
And he's knocking people out I didn't think he was going to knock out. I can't write him off. And I don't know. I don't know how to call this one. Part of me wants to keep O'Malley the champ, because I do think he's a rock star. He looks good. He's got something about him that has propelled him into superstardom, and I think it makes for fun fights. And he's an exciting fighter to watch.
Yeah.
I don't always think Merab's exciting. You know, his style is far more, you know, he's just got to literally wear you out and you know, and pull you around. And it's so effective. But I don't think it always makes for the most exciting fights. So I think it will be better for the division if Sugar's maintained his status as champ. Do I think he's going to do it? I just think he will. I just can't write him anymore. What about you, mate?
Oh, I don't know, man. It's like, it is that thing of like, can O'Malley land that strike, or can Merab just keep that pressure going for 5 rounds and just suffocate him? You know, and I was going to ask you this actually. I was going to say what outcome would shock you more, but I think a more interesting question is, what outcome would impress you more? Would it be Sugar knocking Merab out in the first round, or Merab 50-45 in Sugar over 5 rounds? What's more impressive to you?
What? So either Sugar starts him in the first round, or Sugar gives him a beatdown over 5 rounds and he's still there at the end.
No. Is it more impressive that Sugar knocks Merab out in the first round, or is it more impressive that Merab beats Sean 50-45 on all the judges' scorecards by just dominating him for 5 rounds? Because I can actually see either one of those happen. So what's more impressive?
I think the 5 rounds, obviously, because
do you reckon?
Yeah, because we've seen it lots of times. A lot of fighters can get caught early on in fights because they've not really sort of worked their way into the fight or got themselves where they need to be to, you know, show their best. And the thing is, as that fight goes on, if we do get into the championship rounds, what you've got is that thing that Pereira's got. He's like, it doesn't matter if you're 3 or 4 rounds up. That guy can finish you with one shot.
Yeah.
So that makes the fight exciting, because at any given point, and that's why we loved Conor back in the day, because at any given point, that left hand, he could land it and it's over. And I think that's what we've got in O'Malley. You know, 1-punch knockout power. All right. So what would you think would be more ridiculous, right?
Go on.
O'Malley submitting Merab, or Merab knocking out Sugar?
Oh, that's a great question. Are we talking with
That's
Merab?
the question I thought you was going to ask me when you didn't.
No, I wish I'd have come up with that question. So with the Merab one, are we talking on your feet knockout, or are we talking it could be a TKO finish, like he, you know, gets him down, TKOs him? What are we talking?
One shot, done.
One shot KO knockout.
A clean.
Oh, so what was it? What's more shocking?
Yeah.
I think the Merab knockout would be more shocking.
It would, wouldn't it?
It would. Because how does Merab land a one shot KO on Sean? He can't even reach him, can he? I mean, because Sean could land a big shot, dive down. Merab does a lazy shot because he's wobbly. And then he locks up a DAS or something, and he could submit him that way. It's very possible. Very possible. As unlikely as it might be, is possible. But Merab landing a huge overhand right or a high kick. Oh, man. I can't see that happening ever. I really can't. That would be that's the outcome I want now.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Is it. We have to manifest that happening. Merab is going to high kick knockout Sean O'Malley. With just at the end of his toes is what's going to be able to reach O'Malley's chin.
Absolutely.
And that is it. That's what's going to knock him out. Is Merab in the Bilal spot here? Like if he doesn't win, is that goodbye to the title opportunity? Because Bilal was in that place. Leon was in that place before Bilal was. And now we've got another guy who was in the room, but it's slightly different because Merab seems to have garnered a lot of fans over the last few months. And what he did where he picked up Henry Cejudo and was laughing with Zuckerberg and all that stuff. Like, he's got that, and his social media presence has been fun. So
I think it depends on the performance.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
Not necessarily the win, but the performance. I think if it's a great fight and he has his moments, then I think there's an opportunity where they'll be like, we need to run this back. Like, you know, if he goes...
Or just to go away and get 1 or 2 wins and come back. Like, because I feel like Bilal and Leon, if they'd have lost their title shots, we were never seeing them again in a title opportunity. They just weren't liked enough by the UFC.
I don't think Merab's that guy.
No.
I think he's put the work in. Like,
it's amazing the turnaround, isn't it? Because he was in the room and people didn't give a shit about Merab, and now a lot of people love him.
Yeah. Like, when I saw him in that red leather jacket just floating about, I just thought, mate, what a genius move. He's found
I don't know
jacket.
if he's ever got it back.
Like, and he was just popping his head right in the middle of all the action, wasn't he? But just wherever he's going.
What I love is that, let's be honest, Sean probably got gifted that or rented it.
Yeah.
He probably didn't buy that guy. He's probably rented it from someone, or he's got like a stylist to dress in for the event.
Yeah.
And whenever you get that happen, sometimes you can keep the clothes, but a lot of times the stylist like, I need to send that back to the the owner of the whoever, whatever brand does the jacket. I love the idea that Sean on the sly is messaging Merab, be like, it was really funny, but can I have the coat back? 'Cause they're chasing me for the coat. Like, they're charging me rent on the coat every month. Can you please give me the coat back, Merab? Yeah.
Michael Jackson is saying he's literally threatening to take me to court.
Please give me the jacket back, Merab.
Man. Do you think Sean's going to knock him out?
At the moment, my brain is split, but my gut instinct is telling me Sean O'Malley is just going to become a huge star. And to do that, he has to knock out Merab. And I think he did it he scraped by with Jan. It was a very close fight, but he won it. Very close. And then he absolutely dispatched of Sterling, no problem. And now he's got Merab. If he deals with him as well, I think we're looking at such a huge, huge superstar. And I think off the back of this, we could be seeing him and Ilia Topuria in a huge fight. Imagine if Ilia beats Max, what that does for his star. And if Sean knocks out Merab in 1 round or something like that, or 2 rounds at the Spear, what that does for his star. Those two, then it's such a super fight. That I think the UFC would be crazy not to do it just for the money it could generate.
Do you think Ilia versus Sean's a better fight than Max versus Sean?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
All day long. Yeah. Not a doubt in my mind. Because Max, to me, symbolizes something completely different. Max is like, he's the veteran. We all want him to win. We all love Max. And then Max will just do whatever the hell he wants. He can go up to lightweight. He can defend the belt at featherweight. Any of those things, no problem. Max is Max. There's something in my head, and this is wrong of me to say, but there's something in my head that Max versus Sean is like man versus boy. It's just like Max is Max. And I don't know, to me, Sean's no comparison to Max.
I mean, that's beautifully put. I'd love to see Max just smash Sean's face in.
See, I'd love to see Topuria, because I just feel like that would be so intriguing. These two fresh, young, hungry guys fighting to be the guy. They're fighting to be the next superstar of the UFC. John Jones is old. Connor's not got it anymore. I can't think of who else there is. Ronda's not around. Who do the UFC pin everything on as their talisman, their superstar guy? And you'll see a fight between Ilia and Sean O'Malley to see who is the new superstar of the UFC. It's just, that to me is just money everywhere. And it's just so exciting.
I can't argue with that.
It's great, isn't it? I love the idea of it. I really do. So to have that happen, but having said that, more than I really would like to see Ilya versus Sean for those reasons. But more than that, I really want to see Max as a champ again. So I really want to see that happen. So yeah,
we've
we'll have to wait and see.
For nearly an hour, and we've got some to discuss. I mean, it's so much to talk about here. Anyway, who you pick?
There is.
Get off the fence.
Sean.
Nice.
Right. Sean.
Okay. So
Shevchenko, Grasso 3.
Yeah.
Or Grasso, Shevchenko 3, I suppose I should say.
Yeah.
Heading to the trilogy here.
Are you excited for this?
I am. I rewatched both fights in the lead up to talking about this, and I found it really interesting. I think it's really high level. It's really, really good fights. They're just working each other out. It's not the kind of, because this could go, because there's a draw in there. If Shevchenko wins by some kind of fine margin, we could see another tetralogy. We could see, that Brandon Moreno Figgy tetralogy we had.
Word, don't you?
I love that word. I learned the MMA has given me a new word. But we could see it. We could see if Shevchenko wins by a fine margin, we could see that fourth fight, which would suck for Manon. But, it is what it is. And I think these are all really high level, really good fights. Shevchenko must be sick of Mexico because she is done that second fight in a Noche UFC kind of thing. Now she's having to fight again in a Noche UFC in the Sphere. She must be absolutely sick of anything Mexican. She probably throws up if she sees a taco. The first fight was really interesting because Grasso had a lot of success on the feet and Shevchenko seemed to be more dominant in the wrestling exchanges. And even though Grasso got the submission, it was from and they said this, that in the camp, they were training for this, that kind of mistimed spinning back kick from Shevchenko that they knew would come at some point. And then she leapt on it and just was able to take the back. And, that was it. She got that rear naked choke in, won the belt. The second fight, again, really close, some odd scoring, but I do think the outcome of a draw was actually okay. But Valentina, again, showed that she was the superior wrestler. And it was just, can Valentina now just make it a wrestling heavy fight? Just almost put the striking on the back burner for this one. We know she's a fantastic striker, but that gives Grasso, a way in. Grasso's got a good jab. She was able to fight southpaw and orthodox. She was landing some heavy strikes whenever they would exchange. If Shevchenko can just go, my number one game plan is to just get you down in every single round and try and keep you there, she could win this fight. It would make it not a very exciting fight, which would be a shame, but I think that's her path to victory if she can make it happen. Having said that, Grasso's got to know that that's got to be her game plan because from the last two fights, that's where she had the most success. And Grasso was still able to get back to her feet. She's strong. Shevchenko's getting older and older. Grasso is seen to be, maybe she's been the champ for longer and longer. And people say, when you're the champ, you do improve. 5
years as well. She's
5 years for Chevy, yeah.
Valentina's 23-4-1. And, that's a lot of scraps.
A lot of scraps. And is that just in MMA?
That's just MMA, yeah.
So that's Muay Thai before that, we were talking about this with Israel Adesanya a while ago. He's had over 140 sanctioned fights.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those happen in kickboxing. It takes its toll on you, man. And Chevy might be just at that point where it's wearing her down a little bit, but she's still fighting great competition. And again, that draw could easily have been scored for her. But I do think a draw was a good outcome. Who are you picking?
I think I'm going to lean towards Grasso.
Yeah.
I love Valentina. I don't think she's got anything left to prove now. If she doesn't get the W at the weekend, rest up, have some fun fights, because you are one of the best to ever do it. And and I think we're seeing a change in the guard. And I think Grasso's coming through. And obviously, she's the champ and she's looking good. But I don't know. Like, there's you got Farrow there and Blanchfield. Even Macy Barber. Like, all of these people are looking good. And
the flyweight division has massively improved.
Yeah, and I
it's
think,
not.
To have a different champ and to beat Grasso, I think makes it a little bit more exciting. I think it will make for some more interesting fights for Valentina as well, that maybe as a champ she might not fancy. I mean, she's pretty much smashed that division anyway over the years.
She's one of the greats, isn't she now? You got Amanda Nunes, and then for what she did for the sport, Ronda Rousey. But then in terms of just pure martial arts, you've got Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko. They are the female goats, if you want to have multiple goats. And if I tell you what though, I still think Valentina's got a lot that she can achieve, because I don't think bantamweight's very good. I know Kayla Harrison's coming in there and looks like she's going to be a problem for everyone. But I tell you what, Shevchenko could get beat by Grasso, wave goodbye to 125 and go on, then let's give 135 a go. And I think she beats pretty much everyone at 135, bar maybe Kayla Harrison. So I think she could fight a Juliana Pena or was it Macy Chasson or someone like that up at 135, get a win, and then go, right, I'll fight for the belt now.
Yeah.
And she could do it. So she's still got plenty that she can achieve. It doesn't have to be goodbye to Shevchenko at all.
We're saying all this, we're also talking, we've just said that she's one of the greatest to ever do it. She's got every chance of winning that the weekend.
100%. That second fight was incredibly close.
Yeah.
And
there seems to be a lot of mutual respect there. I mean, they were team captains on Tough, and it was all, they seemed to be friends. And it was, you've never really seen Valentina particularly make anything personal. She's not that sort of fire, is she?
No, she seems very classy as well, doesn't she? She's another one. We talked about DJ earlier. She's classy.
Absolutely. All the interaction that I saw on the recent series of Tough just looked really, really pleasant. Which I like to see that. I know it doesn't make fights, but I like it.
I agree. I know you were moaning about this card other than the main event, but I'm super excited for Brian Ortega, Diego Lopez to finally get that fight after UFC 303 kind of falling by the wayside, and Dan Ige stepping in on 3 hours notice and all that stuff. I think this being a 3-round fight really favors Lopez over Ortega. I think he hits hard, he comes out fast. If it was 5 rounds, I think because Ortega's so durable, and we have seen, like in that Dan Ige fight that I just mentioned, Lopez slow down in the 3rd round a little bit. I can see Lopez winning this fight by decision, but I can see him winning the 1st round comfortably. The 2nd round's a bit tighter, and then the 3rd round he has to really survive against Ortega. But he does so, and he comes out winning like 29-28 or something like that. That's what I see happening here. How do you see it going?
I think he's going to be so fired up, Lopez, after training for Ortega and then fighting a game as fuck Dan Ige. I think Dan Ige had enough time to have a shower, shit and a shave and get in a cab, and then he was in the octagon. And fair play to him. But I think obviously stablemate of Grasso's as well. I think, the vibes are going to be good there. He seems like a right nice dude as well. But I think Ortega's going to get his hands around his neck, and I think he's going to finish him. I think experience, such a big event, being in such a huge arena and so much pressure on a Mexican, just got a feeling, I don't know. I think Ortega's going to do it.
Yeah, really. That's interesting. Yeah. So we're actually picking opposites in this one then.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'd like to see Lopez get the win and continue to work his way up that division. But I don't know. I thought, how good did you think he looked against Dan Ige?
I thought he looked good until that last round, which is why I think that it could go the way it goes. I mean, it was very stressful for Lopez, let's not forget what he went through that week. I think he saw that to make weight multiple times, even though the weight did keep going up. Like he was cutting down to 145. Then Ortega told him late that he wasn't going to make it and it was going to be made a 155 fight. So then all the weight training done, he had to hydrate again. And then it was Danny getting like 160 something or whatever. Like it was very stressful for him mentally and physically, I think. But I mean, look at Ortega's resume. He's only lost to Volk and Max. And then he's got the loss to Yair in the first fight, but that was due to an injury and he's avenged that. So Ortega only loses to the top guys, Max and Volk. I mean,
the very best.
The very, very best elite level fighters is who he loses to. I think when you look at that Yair fight that he won, the most recent fight, the second fight, he got smashed up in round one and then realized in round two that he could get Yair down. I think also Yair got a bit overexcited at points maybe and tried to stay down on the ground and then realized it was a bad idea and all that stuff. Whereas I think with Lopez, he can come out fast as well, really put it on Ortega, much like Yair did, and land a big strike that rocks him.
You can't make a mistake, though. You can't make a mistake with it, though. Like,
with going down and...
Because Ortega's too good.
But the thing is, Yair's not a grappler. I know he's got some submission wins, but Lopez is a proper good grappler. He may not be Ortega level, but he's very, very good. And so I think that'll be a big difference here, is that if Lopez hurts him early, he won't be afraid to go to the ground with Ortega and he won't make silly mistakes. And I think that could be the thing that really puts Lopez above the likes of Yair and people like that have struggled in the past with Ortega, is that if he hurts him, and he probably will do, even though Ortega's very durable, Lopez sees the hit very hard, he can go to the ground and challenge you on the ground with his grappling. And that might be the thing that's the thing that's making me lean towards Lopez, is I think that he can kind of do it on the feet and on the ground. And that's what you need against Ortega, I think. But it should be really fun. Wherever the fight goes, I think this is going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. Before we just, I imagine you want to touch on a couple more fights on this card, but while we're just talking about elite level rolling around, have you seen the video of Khamzat rolling with Luke Rockhold?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Luke Rockhold was one of the best grapplers the middleweight division had seen. Granted, I don't think he was strictly a jiu-jitsu guy or anything. He was a guy that was MMA grappler. He would be able to ground and pound you. I've heard other people talk about Luke Rockhold's top game being the best they've almost ever seen in the UFC, his top game. And Khamzat was just all over him. Again, it wasn't MMA. There was no striking involved as well. But Khamzat was just all over him. It's terrifying. Terrifying.
Like, I was watching it and I literally said, like, at this point, like the control that Khamzat was showing in it, like at every given point, I was like, right now, he will be raining elbows into the face of Luke Rockhold. It was like, I was like, whoa. Like, you don't see people doing that to Luke Rockhold very often. And I was like, that looked impressive. But anyway, just wanted to throw that in for that becomes yesterday's news. What else do you want to talk about on the card?
I know you're not overly keen on the card. There's a lot of fighters that, we may not know too well, stuff like that. But there are things that fans should be excited for. And Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovic, that's going to be a fun scrap. Like, we may not know these names that well. They're in a lightweight division that is absolutely stacked. Are they going to be going into the top 15, 10 anytime soon? Maybe not. But in terms of just 15 minutes or less of violence, it's going to be great. Zellhuber's on a 3-fight win streak. He lost his UFC debut. Ribovic is on a 2-fight win streak after losing his UFC debut. Both guys got into the UFC on the Contender Series. Zellhuber, really long and rangy Mexican striker, great takedown defense though, and great knees in the clinch. And he's got a chin on him. I mean, he's not always the most defensively sound, which makes me think this fight is going to be really fun, because Ribovic is also really durable and he just loves to scrap. He's got very good boxing. and he's got this vicious high kick knockout of Terence McKinney that happened in the very first few seconds of that fight. These two will probably meet in the middle, go to war, and however long this fight lasts, I think it'll be one hell of a scrap. I think that'll be great. Another fight to talk about is Irina Aldana ranked 5th, Norma Dumont ranked 9th in the women's bantamweight division, a division that, as we just said about Shevchenko getting in there, it's not the most talent-stacked division. We're thinking Kayla Harrison's going to come in there and just bulldoze everyone. But Dumont's on a 4-fight win streak, which is really rare at bantamweight. She's only 33 years old, even though it feels like she's been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
A win here definitely puts her in the conversation for the belt. She'll probably need one more because Kayla Harrison versus Ketlin Vieira is a number 1 contender fight, and Pena's fighting Pennington for the belt. So she's probably going to need one more after this Dumont. But if she gets it, she's very much in the conversation. Like, stay ready. Anything could happen. And Aldana, up and down record. Her last fight was that Nunes' last title defense. So no shame in losing that. But she had a very up and down record. Oh, no, her last fight was Carol Rosa. Sorry, she came back and got a win after her fight with Nunes. I'm hoping Dumont wins because I kind of just see that as more of a, again, someone that can do something at the top of the division and it feel legitimate. We've had so many situations like Aldana's title shot that she had against Nunes was off a 2-fight win streak. I want to see, other than Kayla, who's just, an anomaly because she's come in as a star from another organization, I want to see fighters on longer win streaks before they get title shots, unless they've been a champ before or they've got star power or something like that. And that's what the bantamweight division needs at the moment. Manuel Torres Bahamundes, another fight that I think could be fun. Manuel Torres is on a 6-fight win streak. All 6 fights finishes in round 1. So he does not wait around. He is not paid by the hour. So I think that could be a really fun fight. So, yeah, and also his last loss happened in round 1 as well. So even if he loses, he ain't going in there for more than 5 minutes. So, yeah, I think that should be a really, really good fight. That is about it. We've spoken a little bit about Raul Rosas Jr. and how I think this is a match that's made to favour him and he's there to get the crowd in early. He's on the Fight Pass prelims. Other than that, I don't have a huge amount to say.
No, well, let's hope that the film footage is good. Let's hope the fights are even better, and it opens up lots of possible future events there, and all manner of fun things to come out of that venue that looks like it's literally being beamed down from space. One thing that we didn't do at the beginning, which we need to do at the end, is shout out our sponsor, and Fat Candy. They do freeze-dried sweets. If we was in the studio now, we'd probably be wearing our Fat Candy sunglasses, T-shirts, and
chomping on some Skittles.
Just chomping on some Skittles. And look, we've had some lovely messages from you lot saying that you've been using the discount code SWEETMMA to save yourself some money on your order. They've now got these little goodie bags now of literally like one of pretty much all the little sweets they do. So you can, rather than buy a pot of one, go and buy one of their little pick-a-mix bags, and you get your blackjacks, your fruit salads, your Skittles, and I can't think what else, your drumsticks. They're all thrown in a bag, and it's a cool-looking bag as well. And you can try that and pick out which one you like the best, and just pop in that discount code SWEETMMA, and and it also not only will give you a nice sweetie treat, it also shows that you're supporting this show because they sponsor us, and if they get some orders, then it keeps them happy as well. So go give them a follow on the socials. They're always tagged in their posts, Fat Candy. And other than that, we'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys. Bye.